This is Water Elemental.
And this is Axis, and we are here today to talk about the League of Legends. An ongoing show where we kind of talk about stuff and the things that happen with stuff. And it's really all about this game called League of Legends. It's a fantastic game, free to play. Check it out if you haven't already. If you're listening to this show about League of Legends and you haven't played League of Legends, that's a little weird, but I'm not here to judge you. I'm not the kind of person who does the Summoner Judgment thing. I just don't do it. I'd rather be playing a game of League. Call me crazy. We got some interesting stuff. Moving away from absurd statements. Got a new patch this week, new champion. Got some information on the World Tour. We got a couple of sales. And that's pretty much it, really. I mean, the patch is a pretty big patch drop, so it's
the first non-tournament patch they've dropped
so
in a while.
Yeah, they aren't so nervous about changing stuff. But first thing you guys are probably interested in is Sejuani, the Winter's Wrath.
Winter's coming.
Ew. First time I picked her on the summoner screen, she says, "Winter is coming!" And I'm like, sorry about that, folks. It's, now she is an interesting champion. She's based on strong control effects, good disruption, and overall using a variety of sources to deal damage. She's a champion I picked up. I got the armored skin for her on the boar. I'm kind of fond of her. She's very interesting. I didn't get to play her too terribly much, but she's got a lot of control in the battlefield. She can run around. She can do a good amount of damage. Not incredible, but the slows are great. Her ult's really fun to do.
She's melee Ash when it comes down to the slows, and it's actually pretty nice to have a champion that once you get in that range, she can just keep you slowed, and it's actually really
Skarner!
nice. Wait, who's a Skarner?
Oh, sorry, I had something in my throat. So yeah, she's a champion who you can have a variety of builds with. There are tons of options you can go for with her, and that's certainly one thing I did a lot, is I tinker around with a bunch of different builds. One of the cool things about Sejuani was the way that her passive interacts with all her abilities. I know that's probably the obvious thing, but I really liked Northern Winds. That was probably my favorite ability because I'm a Garen player, but the way that worked around her passive was really cool. That I could put extra damage on other characters while having standard damage on others was really cool to interact with.
It's better than, not really better, but it's nice to have that ability where it's a passive. It spins around you dealing damage, where you're able to cast other spells and you're able to auto attack with it, so that can actually lay on some extra damage.
Yeah, they kind of tried that out with Sejana, and they're applying it to more champions. The coolest thing about her, though, as I mentioned a little bit before,
did you have to phrase it like that?
Yes, I did. Was her ult? It's
impressive.
Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome to do when you drop a big glacial prison and you end up trapping 3 people in a big ice trap, and you're just like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and permafrost, and just no one can get any ground on you.
People do not like that ultimate because it's such a big AoE stun, and everybody just complains how it's unfair. But other abilities manipulate massive groups like that. There's Gragas, there's Karthus, there's all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah, no, that's it's very interesting. But overall, I found there are a couple of different builds you could go with. I was going mostly for an Atmog's build because her Northern Winds gets bonus damage based on her health, which I really like. And the way her passive works, I could, do auto attacks with my Atmogs, do a good amount of damage, and the gap closer with Arctic Assault is incredible. And so I could get up close, drop slows on people, and do tons of damage with my Northern Winds while auto attacking. 2% plus 2% plus 2%. Over and over and over again. It really starts to add up pretty quickly.
So you say you do tons of damage with her. Do you also jungle with her?
I personally didn't. I played her mostly as a laner. I almost played her like I play Leona, where I go mostly for team utility, because really, with the way her damage is, it doesn't feel like her damage is as strong as it could be. I feel like they cut it down because of the way that she has so many slows and she has a stun. She has a really good gap closer. So I feel like they cut some of her damage, which is why I focus a little more on team utility, because I have so many slows, I have so many stuns, I can get into combat really easily and just disrupt the entire fight. So if I build things like Shreya's and Randuin's, I contribute a lot more to my team because just no one can move when I'm around. I'm a block they got to get through, and I'm still doing tons of damage with Northern Winds and auto attacks.
See, I didn't pick her up myself, but I played a lot of games where she was in there. I've seen people jungle with her, and I've seen them go tanky. I've seen them go really offensive. And the things I've noticed is a lot of people think that when you jungle with her, Vamp Scepter and stuff like that, instead of going, AP and stuff like that, because they don't realize that all of her abilities either scale off AP or even her health. So that was one drawback, is because everybody assumes that since they think they can jungle with her, you have to go Vamp, and that was the first setback. They need to go ability power and something like that with her.
A lot of people aren't used to traditional tank tanking in the jungle. You just get your cloth armor, your pots. You don't build anything crazy like Wriggles. You just focus mostly on building your traditional build.
But when I saw her in lane, she was really hard to push out at times, and she was able to push me out a couple of times. I was playing support this patch, just because not many people have been playing support lately, so I thought I'd give it a shot. And she was able to push a lot of people out, and she was a really good threat once she went MIA. So it was.
Her gap closer is awesome.
Yeah, you see that boar pop out of the bush, and it's just
like covers so much ground.
I think the hardest part is calling MIA for her, because it's just you're trying to figure out how to spell her name, and then you get frustrated, and you're just like, Pig Lady MIA, and then they're like, who? And then they get ganked. They're like, you didn't call MIA.
Like, oh, I did.
Pig Lady. Who else has a pig in this game?
The other thing I noticed, kind of about Arctic Assault, sort of on the same page, is I was running Ghost on her, and when you're running Ghost, your Arctic Assault moves at just about as fast as I was moving with Ghost. So it's pretty good move speed boost. But yeah, I mean, good champion. What do you think? What do you give her?
I give her an 8. I like her playstyle. I like her mechanics. I like the perma-freeze ability, and her stun's really great. She's a very well-rounded champion. She does have strengths and weaknesses. She is more or less like Leona. She's not more of an offensive champion that she can solo tank. A lot of other ones, they're kind of stepping back and making tanks be better off with teams and 2v2s in that situation, but she's really good.
Yeah, I'm probably going to bump her down to a 7 myself. I do like her a lot. I really enjoy her. I mean, I enjoyed Leona as well. The problems I'm having with her, though, is Leona you could build a little bit more offensively, but Leona had so much built-in survivability with her shield and with her stuns that you could afford to sacrifice a little bit of survivability, a little bit of mitigation for some damage. As Sejuani goes, she doesn't have a whole lot of built-in mitigation. She doesn't have a whole lot of defensive ability. She's mostly about disruption. So really, if you get turned on and you're building mostly for offensive because you have to be in melee, you're SOL. She's very fun. She's very good, but again, vastly dependent on her team, because if you go mostly for damage, you're gonna get destroyed, and if you go mostly for tanking, you got to depend on your team.
There is a good medium with her, and we haven't found it yet. But we've been tweaking it, but there's a good thing between ability power and health, and a lot of mitigation.
Like I said, Atmog's so far I've found is not terrible, because your Northern Wind scales on it, your Atmogs will scale on it, so you're getting a good amount of damage out of it.
So we'll keep testing.
But there's no burst there, so I think it's going to surprise a lot of people.
So since she is the first champion of the year, do you think she's rides off to a good start as far as champion design, or are they kind of running out the gate a bit late?
To be honest, I think they could have chosen a better animal to come riding out of the stocks with.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, the whole gimmick of her riding on a pig's hilarious at first, but after a while, it's just kind of like...
Tundra Wolf! Come on, it's a Freylord!
That is true. Or at least do what they kind of did with other champions, where diversify what mount she's riding on in skins. One, she could be riding a wolf instead of the pig, or another one she'd be riding a grizzly bear.
I don't know. I feel like in terms of some of the skins, they kind of left us out in the cold.
Dude, chill out with the puns, alright?
I'm sorry.
So, it was the first major patch, and a lot of buffs and nerfs going around here. There's a lot of really interesting stuff.
They buffed Mundo, very good. They nerfed Ahri, thank God.
They buffed how many people you can have into a ranked team, and now it's up to 9. They made it a lot easier to invite people into the ranked groups.
You can have 9 on your ranked roster now.
Yeah, I said that.
You said 5.
I said they went to 9. We'll just kind of go through the list here. A lot of champions got buffed or nerfed. We're just going to kind of quickly go over a lot of them. So, we're going to start with Ahri here. She got a little bit of a nerf.
Yeah, Ahri's kind of a champion that's really been... a lot of people just play her a lot because she's very easy, and she's got a lot of uptime. She's got a great ult. So they kind of increased the cooldown on her ult, made her more commonly used spell a little bit more expensive. Mundo they kind of buffed. This was a lot of left field. Didn't quite expect this. Gave him a little bit less of a cooldown on his ult. Gave him more base AD stats. And they made Burning Agony a little easier to keep up.
I'm liking the fact that they increased his magic resist per level up by a lot. And that's a really shocking card.
They gave him 9 more at cap level. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. A lot of bugs fixes with Fizz. They added a timer to the Shark Bomb. A lot of smaller things to it, but nothing really buffing or debuffing, more bug fixes and UI stuff.
Yeah, stuff that was actually in last patch, I believe, but they just didn't put it in the patch notes. Graves, they toned down a little bit. Very good. J4, they reduced the mana costs 4. Awesome stuff. Very good news for a lot of J4 players. Jack's remake, we talked about that last week. These changes are finally in. Test them out. Nunu, they gave him a little bit better AD stats. Nunu's a champion that's been lagging behind, so I think they're just tweaking him to figure out what they can give to him. Rammus, they nerfed a little bit. They kind of redistributed some of his move speed, made defensive ball cooldown a little bit worse, but Rammus is still pretty awesome.
Riven got a small buff.
Well, it's more of a reorganization.
Yeah, reorganization. I'm looking at it, buff, debuff, you know. They moved down her movement speed a bit, and base regen was reduced a bit, but they increased damage with broken wings and all that stuff. So
yeah, they talked about this a little bit on the patch preview, but they wanted to change so that way one skill would be for the CC and the other would be for the damage, not because people were just leveling up the stun, because stun plus damage is way better than just damage. So they just wanted to make sure all the damage was in one spot, all the stunning was in one spot.
Shaco got a nerf. They reduced the cooldown, or not cooldown, but the duration of the Jack in the Boxes by 30 seconds. So he can't stack as many in a bush.
But now you can tell how much longer the Jack-in-Box left, which is a really nice quality of life change for him. Skarner, they reverted some of the changes they did to him, and they reduced the slow. This is a big hit to Skarner. Skarner was really enjoying himself. Kind of a bummer that they toned this down. Tryndamere, they nerfed.
Yay.
Darn. Vayne, they nerfed her as well. Vayne's been kind of the meta lately, so that was kind of expected. Volibear, they buffed. Volibear's a champion you've not seen very much lately.
Vladimir got a major buff. They removed the life cost on his ultimate, which makes it a lot better to play, because Vladimir's main weaknesses, when he popped his ult, he would be at 3/4 of his health at the beginning of a fight.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
So having that ability just to pop your ult and have that ult there, and not taking damage cost, is a great buff to Vladimir, and they also increased and reduced a lot of his abilities from cooldown, increased damage done by it. So that's a great thing. Vladimir's at a good spot right now. It's glad to see.
Ionic Spark is now on Summoner's Rift. Very cool item. I've seen a lot of people playing around with it. They made Nash's Tooth a little bit better. And the new Ninja tab you're in, definitely check them out. It's a lot more mitigation than I expected. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about the dodge being removed completely and what that means.
Oh, yeah. And then finally, they put a bunch of art on some of the new champions. Very cool stuff. Definitely check it out in-game. They all look really good.
We have Classic Alistair was changed. It looks a lot better than what he originally had. A lot more modern and a lot better looking for Alistair. Makes it more intimidating. New Fiddlesticks. I'm iffy on this one. It looks good at some parts, but there's something about his face that it just doesn't look right for Fiddlesticks. What do you think?
I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. I like the classic Fiddlesticks look.
Yeah. Classic Galio makes him a lot more intimidating. Don't you think? That one's really good. And then Malzahar and all of them, they kind of got slight skin changes as well as his classic art looks really good too. So.
Oh yeah, and there's tons more. Definitely look at them for yourselves, guys. Got a couple of sales this week. Who do we got?
We have Jax, Olaf, and Galio.
These are kind of very aggressive, sort of unexpected damage types champions. Jax used to be all about just massive combat, just constantly dealing damage and hitting really hard with certain abilities, especially with his ult up. Now he kind of focuses on having certain amounts of burst, especially with his ult up. He can still fight in combat, he still has that good build-up time, but now he has a lot of burst with his dodge strike ability. Olaf, Champion Smite, one word, true damage, massive hits, gets more dangerous the longer he's in combat, the lower health he has. And Galio is a champion that a lot of people just don't expect to hurt. He's a very intimidating champion if played well.
If anything, I'd recommend just checking them out when they're free or pick them up now while they're cheap, and especially with the new Galio art and stuff like that, he's very intimidating. Just check them out. And Jax remake, give it a try. Skin sales this week, we have Redeemed Riven.
Not my personal favorite Riven, but I'm a big fan of the Crimson Elite guys. I know a lot of people are holding up for Bunny Girl Riven, but for now this is probably the better one for the more classic fans.
It has a good color scheme to it, really bright for her character design though, so
keep that in mind.
Yeah. Next is Karate Kennen.
Not necessarily my favorite, but it is pretty cheap, and for how cheap it is, it's very high detail skin.
Finally, Exiled Morgana.
My favorite Morgana skin, I'm a big fan of classic elves, and so this skin is always, I love to see this skin in game. Morgana has a lot of cool skins, and there's one kind of for each audience. And if you're sort of the classic elf lover that I am, this skin.
Next up, we're going to kind of go over again what happened here. As of this patch, dodge is completely removed from the game, and that means that it's out of the meta. You can't find it on any items. No characters utilize it anymore, except for Jax, but that is a ability now instead of a stat. And essentially, they're going to kind of keep it away. I don't know if they're going to be adding or removing. They just kind of wanted to make it clear that it is gone for good.
Yeah, and it's a shame. I mean, it's good. It's good. I'm glad to see it go. And we'll have to tell this story to our children one day.
Remember back in the day when Dodge was in League of Legends? It was 1972, and Grover Cleveland was president sometime in that time period.
You're going to get called out for that.
I know, but I'm old, and my memory doesn't serve me very well.
Well, yeah, guys, if you get dodged, call them for hacks. We got a League of Legends World Tour. They're going around doing a bunch of stuff with the tournament, doing a bunch of stuff with their PR and their fans and everything like that. I don't know where they're going to be, so you guys will have to do the research for yourself, but I'm sure there's tons of locations you guys can check it out.
They're hitting... I saw the list, but I can't find it again. They're going to Taiwan. They're going to be in Germany, United States. I hope they come somebody close in Colorado, because I'd really like to... I would really like to be that, but of course it's probably going to be on the East Coast.
Yeah.
It's going to be on a coast. It's not going to be like Midland where a lot of people play.
Oh well.
Oh well.
And then we got a couple of skins with the patch that dropped.
Yeah, it's just the 2 skins for Pig Lady.
Yeah, I got the full armor one. The what?
Saber Tusk and the Dark Rider.
The Dark Rider, not really my favorite. It's more of like a primal looking one, whereas Saber Tusk is heavily armored up. She's got a really cool looking shield, tromps around dealing damage. I really like that one.
She fits the Saber Tiger one. Saber Tusk looks a lot like Maokai's totem skin.
Really?
Something like that. So those two paired together will look really nice together.
With a lot of disruption there too. But yeah, guys, very cool skins, very cool champion, very good week. We're going to kind of move on to our own section now.
Our first question comes from our comment section. It is from Rye328, and he says, "Lol, I feel like you're pronouncing things wrong on purpose. It's Nunu, Catriana. You guys are trolls."
No, that's how we pronounce him, is what he's saying.
Oh.
And I love that he said porpoise, because it's just an amazing thing to read. So thank you, Reed.
Thank you for noticing the fact that we
Thank you for playing the game. Better yet. Our next question comes from Bannock. He says, "Do you guys play custom games? For example, PokeLol, pick a Pokemon with the first 150. and all of your items have a random lock-in champion. Must be the color in aura or actuality. For the most part, Manic, I stick to normal, but when I'm feeling a little bit jittery, I usually play ARAMs. All random, all mid. It's a big favorite of mine back in the Dota days. Still a big favorite of mine today. It's hard to get friends together that actually know the rules, and so I don't get to play it as much anymore. But it's always fun when you're like, alright, loading screen pops up, and you see they've got like Fiddles, Singed, and Sivir, and you're like Sauna. What was the worst we had? We had Sauna, Singed, and I believe Vagar. And we're just like, oh good! It was the worst thing that ever happened. It was so bad.
Was it just pure destruction?
No, what happened is just Fiddles, Rise, and Sivir. Be like, hey, I see you're standing next to a minion. Just bouncing off of our faces. It was terrible. But I do play custom games. I love ARAM. I've not ever tried Pokélol. I have been venturing into Bravery lately because Bravery is hilarious. But other than that, for the most part, I stick to normal. But I do play custom games.
I've tried playing custom games, and I personally can't get into them. I played ARAM at least twice, and both times I didn't enjoy it as much because I guess I'm just so used to playing it in a normal style and competitively that playing it in other functions just kind of sucks.
Yeah, I agree. No, not at all. I love custom games. I mean, back in the day with Dota WTF mode, I mean...
WTF mode on Dota, I did try that when I first tried to play, and I think that was the worst way to try to play out Dota, because I'm just like, what's going on? How do I play this game?
The Zeus. Just, well, I hit level 6. Enjoy your platform. Is the word. The Zeus is basically Karthus. So, ult, and his ult was instant cast. So it's 350, 350, 350. You just sit on the platform and you'd lose. You just lose. You'd have to wait till you got enough money to get the avatar item, which made you immune to all magic effects. Hilarious.
Thank you for that question. Sorry,
Yeah,
we're kind of rattling here. I'm just like interested in the Zeus now.
Memories, all alone in the moonlight. Last question comes from Master 12. He says, in February, an Intel Master Extreme tournament, and also the first League of Legends tournament in Brazil. My question is if Brazil could be a profit place for Riot with RP cards and more LOL tournaments in Brazil. Huge competitive scene in Brazil. I mean, we all make the jokes about the
BR Brazil.
Yeah,
but they're mean players there.
Yeah, no, there's a big market there. It is a rapidly emerging gaming community, and they've already been expanding with their Riot Point card, where you can purchase them, how you can get them. And so I'm sure that is one of their target markets, so I have no doubt that they're definitely eyeing Brazil. So I'm sure you guys will be seeing more content, especially if this first tournament is a big success.
And especially, I think they're actually on the list.
Really?
Even after with the on
with
that
the
World
Tour?
Tour.
Oh.
I think it's on after the tournament in February. They're going to be coming back with that World Tour.
Ooh.
So it looks like you're going to be having two major events, but it all depends on this if these two events do well or not. Because it's a trial, definitely is, because I don't think they'd put a lot of money into going into places that aren't going to get an extreme.
Well, you don't want to do the Antarctic circuit?
The Antarctic circuit is just
best tournament.
That would be an April Fool's joke. League of Legends will be hosting their Antarctica Cup right here in Antarctica. You know, only the best play.
Oh yeah, Penguin players. Nah, that's probably the wrong hemisphere. We take all questions. We love questions from you guys. It really gets us thinking. We get to goof off. We get to talk about old memories, new memories, and maybe even theorycraft a little bit. You can post
Call
them.
out Mount Champions.
No. You can post them down in the comments below here, or you can send our email address at spazticgaming@gmail.com. That's usually the best place for longer form questions, really kind of poke our brains. We'll also read them off our forums. There's a link for that below as well. We got a new website going up. It's kind of in the preliminary stages.
Just let us know what you guys want to see on there. That's what I'm waiting for. I love feedback on that, because what's the point of having a site if no one ever is going to use it?
I hate websites. Are you posting this on a website?
Yes.
Dang it.
I also brought up an FAQ with a lot of asked questions about the show and stuff like that. So if you've asked a question you really never got a reply to it, go ahead and check there and see if I've mentioned it or not.
Oh yeah, you want to put a URL link for that too?
Bam! Editing magic. There's the URL.
Yeah, it's like that one time when we had the horse.
That horse was amazing. I missed that horse.
That horse was amazing.
Give it a lick.
Tastes just like raisins.
And what else news is going on?
Unfortunately, I think that's it for the week. We're going to have to leave you guys all alone.
I'm sorry, guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye. This has been Axis.
And Water Elemental.
And, you know, it's a new year. And I feel like we have all the potential in the world. And I just want it to be as special for me as it was for you.